Hi guys, I am trying to do a spontaneous 2-point perspective painting demonstration for you guys for painting class. And as you see over here on my easel is a painting that's about to be no more. I feel like every bad painting is an opportunity for a better painting. So I'm letting her go to sleep underneath our house over here, or under the studio at least. So I'm going to try to explain what is happening with this painting as I consider the layout. And I'm going to chase the sun a little bit. It's kind of in the late afternoon right now, so we'll see what happens with the sun and if I'm able to carry on. But what you're going to see over time are these shadows changing on the grass. But I'll get started. Let's see. Can you see any of this? Oh, you can't see my painting. It's going to be really interesting. Okay. Gonna get off to the side. Just want you to see my painting. Sorry, everybody. I am really trying to figure out this new system. Okay. Ugh. Generally speaking, I think we got it. All right. So the first thing I have to establish is where my horizon line is going to be in this painting. I'm going to use a darkish value just to find my way here. Basically, remember, your horizon line is based on your eye line. So everything is about like the point of view of the camera or the point of view of the painter. In this case, and I want my horizon line to be higher right now. Let's see how I'm going to divide this painting up. I'm going to start kind of sketch laying this painting out a little bit, not committing to anything much at this point. If I don't like it, I will wipe it. But compositionally speaking, let's see, can you see my painting? All right, here we go. Hilarious. Okay. So compositionally speaking, I like the composition of this camera way better than my position because I can see more of this lawn. I'm going to figure out what's going to happen here. I like there to be a little more negative space on the side. So as I'm designing this, I'm going to design myself some yard off to the side. So I'm thinking about this first vertical as the back of the house, or back of the studio. I'm going to think about this second vertical as the front of this side. If I make that big, taking a quick measurement, I'm not going to make it across my paintings if my house is that tall. So I'm going to regroup a little bit, thinking about the composition. I'm going to make that distance smaller, even though I'd like it bigger. I'm going to make it smaller so I can actually get this whole building onto this house, onto this painting. So what I'm going to do is actually find the termination over here. I'm going to establish my parameters. So that vertical of the far side of the building, and establish just parameters of this painting. So maybe that there, all right, can be my next vertical. All right, so with that in mind, I'm going to think about if this is the face of that plane, we're going to have to establish what that height is now off the plane. My eye line is pretty much my horizon line, or the horizon line is pretty much at that seam. That is where the skirt is on across that facing. Also, since my eye is right on that horizon line here, that line at the base of the front of the building is pretty darn parallel to the horizon line. But this plane here is what's vanishing well over on the horizon line. So this building is actually going to be tipping up a little bit this way. On this side of that building plane and that horizon line, the vanishing point's much closer to the building. It's like, well, it's right in front of me. It's about here, if I have this angle right. And so the way I'm going to start establishing these angles from just standing here and observing these angles, I'm going to hold my paintbrush up. From where my eye is here, this is showing me that horizon line edge to the vanishing point. Now if I move that, I'm just going to move my body over, move that angle over to see what the heck is happening with that horizon line vanishing point. And so I've closed one eye, so I can say there's my vanishing point there. And I'm willing to, if I'm wrong, you guys, I will just wipe it off. And I'm willing to move it. But thinking about, like, I'm going to put the bottom of my paintbrush where my horizon line is, try to match that angle, establish that vanishing point. All right, there. So that's going to help me find the top of this front part of the building, according to this vanishing point. And then I could start vanishing these next little bits to that vanishing point. This is the front of our building. This, of course, now, as we talked about in class so often, or we mentioned in class, that's going to now head off to my vanishing point in the wild. So similarly, I'm going to take this paintbrush to define this angle, a little trickier. That's way up here. When I pivot my body, I'm off my paper. But I could look at that angle and then try to carry it over, which is nearly flat, not quite. Kind of hanging off that way. Am I right? No. And I also now at this point, I think compositionally, this lower angle is more interesting than what I'm seeing. So I'm going to make a design choice and pretend I'm further over there from my building, which would force this perspective down. That's really funny, but you guys are the designers, okay? So you also could decide how to make this a little more compelling. And I'm so glad that Hutch can be here to help us, because he's there for scale, okay? So now I get to make a choice. So many choices. If this is that distance, and I see that on this plane, that, actually before I start dividing planes, let me get the bottom of this set. If we've decided that this is where the clapboard ends on my painting, it looks like it's pretty straight here again, if that's my vanishing point from my current position. But the bottom part of that facing, the outside concrete facing of the building, is down below the horizon line. So I could start bringing that down, just as we're setting our drawing in place. So the thing I was about to say is, we could figure out that side panel. What I know from building that house is that the distance, the depth from the front to the back, where the screen ends, is about half that distance. So remember in class how you find a half of any square in perspective is by making an X that's going to help me find this vertical place to find the correct halfway mark on this plane as we're imagining how that's broken up. I'm actually just going to go ahead and get this a little bit like gray in value since I'm here. Beep. So that's going to be the darker part. That's going to be the lighter part. All right. Now, oh, hey, you guys, while we're here, so we're going to decide on this. I need to figure out where my next vertical structure is on this surface, like the opening for the porch. Hopefully I'll get it right. So it looks like when I look at this building itself, from that front porch corner to the side, halfway across it, yep. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start dividing planes here. So it looks to me like 2/3, no, sorry, excuse me, 3/4 of that front plane are in the blue. 1/4 is on this side. All right, so what I'm gonna do, once again, dog fight. Okay. Sorry, once again, I'm gonna find this surface, I'm gonna make an X, make an X, find the center, and that's gonna tell me actually kind of how to set my windows into place. But now I need to find the center of this side again. So I'll just make another X. And here. Then, oh, this is gonna be great. I may as well do this side for again too, because it is going to tell us where all these windows are going. All right. So this first X helped me to find where the edge of the porch is. So that is now here. Yes, that's there. All right. Then, happily, now I know what this fun little angle does. It goes back to my vanishing point under the porch, right? Ooh, I'm gonna get my second paintbrush out here. So my vanishing point's there. That's gonna tell me where this angle is that shows me the roof of that building. Do I like it? I don't know. I don't think I like it. I'm gonna check my angle, check my drawing, check the thickness. I like that a little better. All right, but now I'm also going to find out, you need to find the end of the thickness on the inside of that building. I'm going to say visually, I've gotten a little skinny here, visually, going straight up and down, like here, that's for the inside window plane. All of this makes me think it's a little thin on my part here. I might have to like eke this down that way. Compositionally. I'm looking at proportional relationships between openings and going, I might need to eke over this way a little bit. Eking over. Janice, I want to give you permission to understand that you can change things. All right, so now I'm just shifting these divisions over. A little more. All right. Magic eraser. I'm going to clear this zone out a little bit. Wipe down my panel just so I could identify. I could redivide that plane for us. Okay. All right, so let me move that over. So if, once again, I'm going to make this even a little further over. We're just going to confirm this. If this whole section is dividing in half, it's here, Then I can divide this in half again to find the center. Just gonna let me know where those windows are. Divide this in half again. This. Carrying on. All right. So now, what I'm checking here is I feel like this angle under there is not quite right. So I'm also checking it this way. So my angle check from where I'm standing is telling me that this is actually going a little bit lower, which means I better check what's happening here. Maybe moving this position a little bit over, so I'm going to bring that down. All right. There. Now that I've come to this terminus point, I'm going to come across. And establish my trim up there. Similarly, so I have this area. I'm just going to make the right value and temperature up here. On here, this is kind of that roof under there. There we go. I'm going to similarly identify the top of that doorway on the inside. Same thing, going over here. The nice thing, once you have your overall structure set in, you can start really having more fun. Because you know that that is there, that is there. You can really start having fun laying in your additional information. All right. My instinct is to just start painting this, but I want to also really show you how to get your drawing set before we just start painting this thing. So it's really fun to just start painting. So right here, I'm just adding a little more of a shadow value using my paintbrush as my straight edge like we would in class or scene painting. While I'm here, I may as well also get what's happening on the facing down in this part of the building. Vanishing again, remember, off to the right. So I would say around here is kind of the bottom of those stairs, right? And then the stairs actually end up coming down a little bit. They come down a little further down the hillside slope, so I'm going to follow this downward. And now, look, I'm taking stairs all the way across the building. They're not really there. So it's some basic stairs that we're going to start dealing with. Woo! The sun won't come over the edge and wreck this for us. I'm going to start painting faster because the sun is starting to blind me. All right, so I'm thinking about these stairs also, how they're coming off the front of our building. And then we're going to think about how the stairs end up also vanishing into that same vanishing point to the side. All right. While I'm here, I'm also going to acknowledge on the right-hand side is a little garden box that has the same vanishing point. Oh, sorry, the left-hand side. Just to the side of my studio where I'm not throwing anything. Got a couple of old mum plants. And then this also will be vanishing back here. I'm getting my drawing set. Oh, what fun. Okay. Now let me keep doing a little more drawing. I'm going to figure out where these windows go. And then I'm going to start doing all the fun of massing this thing in and start painting. Windows. All right, over here. So we decided that if this front section is divided into 4 sections, here's approximately 2, here's approximately 3, and that's approximately 4. I see that those windows are in that bottom half or second half. So I'm going to start laying in some verticals here to establish the window frames. Eyeballing, proportionately speaking, making sure this is vanishing off to that way. And this also next window over, vanishing over that way. Vanishing over that way. Vertical again, getting those verticals established. See how I did? I'm also adjusting, eking back and forth when I'm just like, whoop, I didn't get that quite right. So I'm always giving myself the permission to shift it and shift it and shift it, but using the foundational understanding perspective to guide all of my decisions. So I also see that there's like a strong light band that's coming through. I should probably use a light color. That'd be nice. I'm going to start with the dark one. So I'm going to use this paintbrush as a straight edge again and get that line established. Whoop. Could be a little higher than that. Yep. And when I said that, oops, I was looking at its relationship to this door and say, okay, if this is higher, that should be higher or that should be lower. So I'm always looking at the relationship between one thing to the next thing. Now let's see, look at this general information here, here, here. Okay, so I feel like generally we have our windows there. Then generally I should figure out, similar, like right here, I need to get my, even in this little doorway, to make sure my screen doors are vanishing correctly in perspective. Find the corner of my screen door, corner, might as well get it in a little bit because there's some trim there. Find those corners here, and then I'm going to make an X again. And that X is going to help me see that, like, okay, this side, this side here is the darker half of my door. That's my lighter half of the door. All right, so I think I generally speaking, have most of my drawings set. We still have to figure out like handrails where they go, but I'm gonna find that vertical here on the post and get myself a handrail, but it's too soon for those kind of details. I think it's the useful part of anything, finding that handrail part, is just so I could find where back here my handrail vanishes to the horizon line. So I'm gonna just like block that in. All right. Okay. Now is the fun part. We get to do some painting. So what I'm going to do with the painting is start establishing my deeper values first. And the darkest thing I see here are these little, is this little handrail section, is this window. And you know what? My painting, my drawing is pretty darn wide, and I know that window's not that big. So I'm going to take this opportunity again and check my drawing. I'm going to make this a little smaller inside. And drop down that value. Okay, and then do the same thing over next door to it. It's a little less dark there, so I'm going to lay it in a little less dark so I could just get the painting done faster. Looks like it has a little green cast to it too. May as well get some of that in too while I'm there. Oh, I made it too light. That's okay. I could always darken it. A little green. The trick here is I'm not putting this up against other things of the correct relative value, so I may be dooming myself as I start bringing up the higher values. The other thing though, I know is that although I know that building is painted with a white color, not white anymore because it's pretty dark out. The sun is going down behind this building. So the value of the building in front of me is getting darker and darker and darker. So I'm going to make that kind of green cast because it's fun. And I'll add a few little like acknowledgements of the mini blinds in here. Similarly, I'm going to come back in and anywhere I see just some deeper values, I'm going to start laying them in. That's pretty chestnutty in here, and I like that color. 4 there, it's one of my favorite parts of that detail. Let's see, what else? Ooh, I've got some brown on my brush right now. I may as well get, well, it's not brown at all. It's green, you guys. Let me get the green off my brush. And hey, I'll take this moment to take some green down here and identify like this sculpture. You know, I wouldn't normally use green, but also I could think about like some of these little bushes. It shouldn't be hanging out too much in the foreground yet. Danger, danger, you guys. Okay, let me stick to the business of this background and this house and building. All right, so many potential next steps. So if I were painting like a proper scenic artist should paint and think of my life kind of from back to front, I could start dealing with what's happening in the background back here. I really honestly need to probably before that just check my drawing again. Checking it again. Checking my values. Yep, checking it and checking and checking it. Always keep checking your drawing. I looked away at the bushes and I realized, whoa, my house is looking not great. So I'm gonna just adjust the drawing a little more and taking this opportunity actually to also lay in some more values of that screen here. That established. Of course, now as the sun is shifting, I'm going to be doing some chasing of values as I go. While I have this nice dark color, if I see anywhere else that just could stand some of it, I'm going to start adding it to my painting. As I move, I see that some of this value could help me on the stairs as they come down. I see that the handrails are adding shadow, so I'm just going to add it. Similarly, I see use to a darker value here on the outside of my little stone sculpture by Roger Foster, one of my favorite humans ever in the whole world. So I could start laying in some of that value. All right. While I'm here hanging out in this dark value, may as well serve myself well and drop in some of the back of this building. And suddenly, when I get that darkness in there where the bamboo is, you can really see the back of my building. I'm curious what's going to happen with this camera's ability to see as the sun comes over. I'm going to darken some of this up, and I'm actually going to think about when I lay this dark in, to lay the dark in the dark parts, again, just in the deep tones, in the shadows, as I start coming through this. All right. Similarly, Over here. Come on over. Getting some more of that darkness in the windows. Ooh, I gotta go fast, you guys. My light's changing so fast. Okay. I know better than to paint right now. The best time to plein air paint, you guys, is in the morning when the light is stable. You're not chasing what's happening with your shadows. But I was so inspired, I thought I would go for it right now. All right. I also see a nice little shadow here. My dog, excited about this too. Kind of a neighborhood bully dog. Sorry, you guys. Neighbors. All right, we're starting to find some shape here. Looking for more areas of darkness, thinking about contrast. And suddenly all these gray tones that looked pretty mid-tone are starting to, like what was my initial painting, it's turning into an okay value as the sun is shifting. Yay, how convenient. So remember, this is where that box starts diminishing back here. All right. I'm also going to start thinking about how this house, this building, actually has clapboards to it. So I would like to start getting some of that vanishing point, these little subtleties established. So we're able to help see what's happening vanishing-wise in that way. If I were doing this with full-scale scenery, I'd actually establish and discover you have to define the exact width of what that board is. So basically, you could take, to do that, you can take that distance of that one side, just establish any one side you want to find, and do your count of boards and divide that number by that count of boards, and that establishes the vanishing points from which you can then go off. So you can once again do that by like make an X, find the center, make an X, find the center, make an X, find the center, keep centering down. I'm just kind of eyeballing it because I am way running out of time in regards to my light. But what I know is these lines here in theory should be actually coming all the way up here. May as well have look, get onto my vanishing points. Nice. I could use some of these existing lines to be in communication with how these clapboards vanish. But what I'm going to do before I do all that is I'm going to establish a relative just value for the front of that building before I start getting all excited about the details. Maybe. How's that looking? Oh, so bright. Not that bright anymore. And it's a little too green. Let's see. You know, I'd love it to be painted that color. Yeah, it needs more purple. A little too green. You know, I like it. Okay, so I have some choices now, you guys. I can actually take advantage of some of that understructure. So when I am laying down these clapboards, I could just do this And look, and I can just let the gray behind it be my shadow structure. Might as well do it. So there we go. So that's a lot easier than actually painting the skinny little lines back in. I can start establishing some of that way. And then my thickness is off a bit, but it'll be all right. Let's see. Yeah, sure, I'll just keep going. The nice part about all of this is you can fix any of it later. It's all fixable, changeable. The thing is, everything is subject to change, right? Well, now I can go, I want to make that more vertical here. I'm going to get a little cleaner. I'm getting my vertical line. So I can also see this color as it moves back. Oh, shouldn't have miscolored a lot of it. But I can think about, that is not the right color. I can think about how I'm starting to lay this back in here. So I'm just going to establish that overall value range or that plane. And then I could, why not? Here, I'll grab a little lighter section, let this vanish off here, bring a few of the boards that I see that are still in the light. I just let them stay in the light. And then, why not? Right here, just gonna start establishing some of what I see in that back plane, where it gets a little brighter, a little greener in this back part. And then it has like a pretty richness here as it falls into the shadow. I'm going to use some of that little square I left in here to call it the painting that I have on my studio. Also, the color on the outside is feeling much colder as the sky is changing. So I'm actually going to adjust this side. It's pretty purpley for me. So I'm going to adjust this. Also, if I don't like my skinny little lines, I can blow some of them off. It's fine. This didn't make it all the way down. And I'm seeing these little ragged edges are not serving me very well, so I'll kind of clean it up. Now, also see this side is kind of greenish of my other glass door in my studio back there. I'm going to start bringing in some of the lighter casts. There's some lighter values of the trim. It does shift a little purple. I may have just gotten crazy with the purple. Let's see. How do I like it? I'm gonna make it vanish. Hopefully if it's the wrong color, it'll totally vanish. Hey, that's not too bad. Show where that trim is. All right, and since I'm thinking trim, and I'm thinking back here, I'm gonna bring my value up a little bit. Oh, I made it too fat. Ah! Then I'm still kind of building this up. I'll lighten this a little bit. There's a piece of vertical trim here on the side by the knit. Oh, my paintbrush is turning into a serious stick all covered paint. That value is too high, you guys. Not bad for a pier. Might as well put some up here since I see it. But if if this value here is this bright, then that side of the wall needs to get brighter, which it could stand probably to get a little brighter. So I have to play the if this, then that game. And so if that is this light, then that can brighten up, which could work. Actually, it's not bad. Once again, I feel like I'm really running out of time. Yeah, a little more blue back there. Okay. It's closer to the right color. And let me see where else I can put this color that will serve me before I get rid of it. See a little bit of it here. And this is that building exterior. It's just a little more blue, a little warmer, or a little brighter up here towards the front. Also, I see that now with the trim, my window needs to get a little bit, my blue area needs to be a little larger there. Right. And I'm just going to try to get this thing done before the sun totally blinds. Lock this up. I can't do this line, you guys. The sun's getting in my eyes. Okay, let me shift myself. I'm just going to start freestyling this, which could go really badly. Badly. I missed my lining stick already. Okay. think the sun is not blinding me too badly anymore. I can do this. Get this on. Okay, we're getting there. Just have to keep building and building layer after layer. So think big structures and then get to smaller details. All right, this is starting to vanish back a little bit here, nearly on the horizon line. I realize I have two pretty thick facing up there on the top, or let's see, a little wider. Turn my lining stick back into my paintbrush. So let me clear it off and make that my dark lining stick. Yay, I'm going to trade places with these paintbrushes. So I could take my dark brush now, clean up that edge. Yeah. All right, and I could also put shadows under some of these areas. I could put them up, add a shadow, put it up. All right. I'd also start dropping a shadow back here. And then may as well bring that whole area back into shadow. Making it vertical would be super nice, right? Closer to vertical. All right, we're getting there, we're getting there. Yeah, there's like a beautiful shadow. There's a little bit of warmth. It's right there. Even though I just didn't make the right color. All right, so much more to do and so little sun. You could also take this opportunity, to clean up those edges and details. And okay, actually grabbing another brush right now. So in order to make effective shadows, you just have to watch how sharp your edges are. Ooh, I just bumped it up. That's hilarious. So I was just softening that edge out a little much, and I wrecked my white line. Yay! So I'm going to put this white back in here for my white trim detail. I think it's really important to also see when someone else blows up the painting, and when something's broken, how to address and how to adjust and how to adjust. Now I'm going to try to establish the front plane of this white piece of molding by making this front a little brighter. as I come down. I made it a little thick, so I lost my side plane. Same thing here, I'm going to start adding a little more light to that edge. Okay. This is definitely a late afternoon painting. I'm just going to start massing in the rest of this because I feel like we're getting close to the end of the day. Not sure how much this camera's going to pick up soon. So I'm just going to sweeten out the back of that house. Straighten that edge. Similarly, check the thickness of my trim. Come back in, sometimes you have to cut it back out. Check my angle. Make sure your verticals are vertical. Don't like how my line got all fat at the bottom here, so I'm going to cut that shadow side back in. Getting better. I'm going to add actually a little bit of light back here, so see it's a little brighter. I'm starting to get some reflection. Okay, I'm gonna head down into this concrete. I've lost a lot of my sun from earlier. I should have taken a picture, but here we are. That's okay. I'm just gonna let this come down with me. Let the sun come down. We move into our evening. So this gray is kind of a warmer cast, but look at that. It's supposed to be more purple than that. And then darker. So the nice part is when your color's down and it's just not right, just change it. It's okay. And you know what? I have my friend the lighting stick. I wanted there to be a skinny little dark line. It's a lot easier to paint it away than it is to paint it sometimes. And I also see that they have some right here. I know what's coming. I have some almost ready to get to the stairs. I have some hand railing coming in. So I'm going to take this opportunity to clean up that little edge. I see this value that's gray. It's around the house. I see a lot of that. It's already in that stair treads. Stair treads, tread. Here, here. And then there's this kind of undefined edge between the house, or the studio, and the garden. Here, I'm going to bring this, once again, bring that kind of foundational concrete area in. Looks a little more blue on that side, so I'm going to add a little more blue, maybe too much blue. And it looks like that anchor box is kind of that value, so I'll put that in there too. Right, just under there. Okay. All right, here we go. Next, many choices. Kind of inclined to bring in sweet little sculpture of Rogers. I always feel like this sculpture is standing in front of my studio with its hands on hips. He always did his work and kept at it and kept at it relentlessly as a sculptor, as a human. He was just super generous and always inspiring. Then I'm just going to take this edge, make just a quick light shape in here. Towards the bottom of this disc. We'll get to more of that later. So to kind of establish some of that value range and plane. And by doing that, by putting that warmth in there, you suddenly see that the area behind it needs to get a little more bluey, more purple blue cast. There's warmth, but maybe not that much. Sure. I think what's in order next is to actually establish these stair treads and get that pretty light wood that I see in here established. The top line is actually not this color, but I really want to pick it up at the correct value. I need to redefine this top edge. It helps. And there's kind of a warmth to that color. And then as I come down and establish these treads, the rises and the runs, stairs, I just want to make sure I'm vanishing off. And I'm also making sure they're diminishing at a reasonable rate. Once again, I could have established that height and then just divided it. Established this distance and divided the length. I'm going to paint in some of the carriage while I'm here. What is holding that structure together? Deciding when I want to put a ton of detail in there or not. This is also not a painting about staircases, but you might as well add a little more brightness. And also, since I have this warmth and I see it over here in the sculpture, I'm going to add it. My vanishing point got wacky here. I went too high up, so I'm going to adjust that back down. I was disregarding the vanishing point, or disregard the vanishing point. But I see some warmth here. I actually see some cool shadow cast here. Side. Let me see things. All right. We've got to start moving faster. I think we're at like, I don't know what time we are anymore. It's been a long while. Thanks for watching. We could also zoom. The nice part is you can just zoom through this video and not have to deal with watching everything. To fix this bottom landing concrete piece. And then adjust from underneath the rises. Try to get this thing back into perspective, correct perspective. And that's helping. All right. Let's see. Establish. Now we've entered into, hang on, into the evening. It's quite different. You still see? You can still see. Oh, there's a bee. Brave, Karen. Don't worry about the bee. Right, so that's some little handrails that are definitely darker at the bottom than they are at the top. We'll establish how to figure out where that top is. It's actually not that high, it's a little lower. No problem. Ooh. Now as the sun's changing, you can see this a beam in front. It's nice and brown now, so I'm going to put it in brown. And that's the beam that that handrail is hanging onto on this side. I painted it white on the other side. And then we built the place. We also see this like other little spot of warm color peeking out up here. It's also part of that beam. One thing I'm not liking is the perspective on this side of my clapboard. It shouldn't be this high. It should be closer to the horizon line. So that's feeling a little better, how that's adjusting. Okay, let me get to the fast business of making some trees and grass around this building and get you guys on your way and get me to dinner, feed my kids. Okay. And now I see I put Roger's sculpture in the wrong spot. Man, that's okay. We're gonna carry on. For the sake of dinner, we're gonna carry on. All right. Now here comes the grass and grasses and background and trees. You still see me? You can still see me. All right. A little pot right here since you see it. Give it a little highlighty shine and carry on. Another one in front of it. What's happening there? Okay. Then I'm just gonna pick some grass. Thinking about how the day is kind of coming down. I have to make sure I'm not getting too bright. I almost forgot the other side of my studio. Here's where my warm underpainting is going to serve me really nicely. You could think about what I can preserve from that underpainting. Wish I just preserved a little more than I did, but also the painting is not about the grass, so I'm going to try not to draw too much attention to it. I look across my canvas. Now I feel like I have to actually move my painting so you guys could see way better than I can see what is happening on this side. You see from the camera that there's a tree over here, so I might as well put that in. And I definitely see in the background, there's like a little more coldish blue cast of some of the trees back there, so I'll get that in. And way in the background, have bamboo, real skinny bamboos coming up. A little more yellow cast. So tomorrow I could come back and actually try to. We have a very unhappy kid next door. That's hilarious. Not my. He's entering into our video. I guess at this point in your painting, you really start deciding, like, where are you going to focus in terms of that image creation and what you're trying to make. Once I start having some of this foundational stuff back here, I can start thinking about this bamboo, but I don't want to put much information in there. I don't want the attention to be drawn there. I don't even want the attention to be drawn to the back of the studio, so I'm going to start softening out edges. So your eye will start focusing towards where the sharpest contrasts are. And at this point, you can really start manipulating that and decide, what do you want your audience to see? What do you want to remain critical in this story that you're telling? And of course, as this light shifts, what I see is that this plane is feeling too dark, a little too dark for me. So we use the opportunity to lift some of that value up. Oops, I'm gonna watch my vanishing point. If that value just seemed wrong to me, so I wanted to adjust it. So now I'm getting a little more of this front plane on here. Similarly, in here, I feel like now the light's changing in a way that having a little more light back here and my value for this green cast might be nice. I think I want to get rid of some of that painting back here too. Not quite see as much of it, so I can now see this glowing light coming from the inside. See my shadow back there is too abrupt and too gray. I'm gonna bring some warmer tones back in there. While I'm here, I may as well put some of that other part into the screen, and I could also now just start adjusting temperature as I'm moving through this thing. Getting there. Similarly, I'm going to bring up, just now that I get to play with this a little more, I might bring up the value a little higher on some of this trim. I say cautiously. I don't want to wreck it. But I can also use the understructure to be some of the shadow structures. Undervalue. the biggest belief I have in this, and the reason why I like painting from life so much, is I learn so much about how to see. Every time I paint, I learn a new lesson. And this is going to be critical for you guys who are working on communicating your design ideas visually. Communicating your painting, communicating the stories you also want to tell in your own paintings, whether you're painting for theater, whether you're painting for film, whether you're painting in your studio practice as a studio artist, but continually developing your eye and your language of painting to communicate. And hopefully, even those of you who are even working in the digital sphere, hopefully some of this information can be useful for you as you're considering how you're rendering environments and thinking about atmosphere and temperature and the like. So, you guys, I could just keep painting forever. But I need to stop. Anyway, my people would appreciate me getting inside. So I'm going to call this pretty soon. And I say as I just can't stop myself. I love this. I'm having so much fun. I'm finally getting somewhere, I feel. But this basically, well, this is how I would approach a 2-point perspective architectural painting. Hope you have a great night, and I'll take a full shot of this a little closer so you guys can see it. A little closer. Have a good night. Bye. Paint on. Paint on.